everyone, it's Mrs. Davis. I am so glad you are back again here at the Happy Place to Grow. For the last couple videos, we have been learning about germs. We've learned about the different kinds of germs and how they can get in our bodies and make us sick. We've also learned about some things that we can do to stay healthy and keep those germs from making us sick and making others sick too. Today, we're going to be doing a fun activity. It's hard to think about germs and fun at the same time. We're going to be doing a special art project. You know, I love art. We're going to do an art project that just is going to remind us of one of the things that we can do to keep healthy and keep others healthy around us. And we're going to be putting our knowledge of how germs travel together with art. And we're going to, I call it germ art, but we should probably call it wellness art or sneeze art. And so you're going to need a few things. You're going to need some paper. I've got this manila paper, but you could use white too. You're going to need a whole sheet, and then you're going to need a half of a sheet. You're going to need some kind of a circle tracer. A lot of times we've done activities where we're making a portrait of ourselves. And I've said if you'll take a coffee lid of a coffee can or a coffee container, save it if it's empty, and then that's the perfect size for these self-portrait projects. You're going to need, for this one, scissors and glue, and of course our handy dandy pencil machines with erasers in case we make a mistake, which is likely in art. We can always erase. And then of course your crayons. So if you want to go gather those items, oh, one more thing. You need a tissue because we're going to be reminding ourselves to cover those coughs and those sneezes to keep germs from going through the air. All right, so go gather your supplies and let's get started on fun with germs. All right, I'll be right here when you get back. Oh, I'm so glad that you are back with your supplies and we are ready. I've got my paper ready to go. Now we've done these little self-portraits before where we're just doing our head and shoulders. So when you're using this stencil circle tracer, you want the bottom of the space, that's going to be for your shoulders. So your head is going to be up here, not quite to the top because you can put hair on yourself. You're not bald, hopefully. So go ahead and start by tracing that circle shape. That's a simple trace. I'm going to go ahead and do that right quick if I can get things all organized here. And I love this project because not only after we get done making the project, but we're going to think about our favorite fact about germs. So that's going to help us. I'm going to go ahead and trace that circle. And you can do that as well. We're going to be coming around the mountain here and just tracing. You know, I have trouble tracing when I'm going up and around. So we've got that part done. And then of course the shoulders, you're just going to be coming down, right down and kind of slanting a rounded little edge. So I've done that one. And I just went with the pencil kind of down and then up under the chin. And that's a pretty simple little portrait shape for you to start with. And of course, on this one, the fun thing is you're only going to be putting, as far as your face, the only thing you have to put on are your eyes. And we've talked about making your eyes before. So we're going to be up here. This would be your forehead area. So we're going to do 2 eyes. And there, I always like to think about when I'm making my parts of my body, if I think of simple shapes, that helps me to get those body parts on there in an easy way. So I'm going to be thinking about a football shape for my eyes. And I'm going to try to do this where I'm holding up. I don't know that I can hold it up and trace at the same time, but I might just have to do one and show you. So I'm doing the eye in a simple upward shape, kind of a rounded hill. And I'm going to do that over here too. I'll try to do this up and around. So you see I just did it up and around. And then I'm going to connect those eyes by going back around. And I call that like a football shape. Maybe you could even think about it like a lemon shape. If you're not familiar with the shape of a football, you might be familiar with the shape of a lemon, right? And then, of course, you want your eyebrows, which would be sort of just above. And if you want to, when we do I'm going to do a little bit with my pencil, but I'm going to give it sort of my eyebrow a little sort of fluffy. But when I come around with my crayon, so I just went sort of up and down with my pencil. And when I do my crayon shape, I'm going to give it a little more fluff with the crayon color. And I sort of gave myself a little eyelid. Now I have to draw the other parts of my eye because I have I call this when I do it, I put a circle inside. So I just went with my pencil, went circle and circle, right? Because you have different parts to your eye. And then I'm going to give myself, and I'm looking here. So I did several different little shapes inside there. And then I even gave myself my little pupil. I made more of a realistic eye. So I did like another portion of it and then your pupil, because you've got that white area and then you've got the color of your eye and then you've got your pupil that lets light in. So we're making this more realistic. We don't have a lot of body parts on this one, thankfully. Making my eyelid a little bit there. But that's the only parts, because we're covering our cough and we're going to cover, so we're covering our nose, we're covering our mouth with our hand. So we don't even have to draw those parts because we're going to be covering them up. I love that. So what you can do now is add your hair. So if you have short hair, long hair, we've talked about this before, that you can just add your hair. I'm going to go ahead and do my coloring for this part, and then we'll add the finishing touches, because we're going to be adding our hand and our tissue. And I'm going to go ahead and do the simple coloring on my shirt. I'm going to do the simple coloring on my eyebrows. So you're going to want to think, what color's my hair? What color are my eyes? And then you can do some realistic things. So the easiest thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with my black crayon first, and I'm just going to dot in those pupils. And then I'm going to do my eyebrows. They're kind of a brownish. Remember I said I was going to kind of just to fluff them up. I'm going to try to hold that up. And one thing we learned about our amazing body, we learned that the nose hairs, don't take those little nose hairs for granted, are like little brooms that when your body breathes in a germ, because germs are everywhere, they're in the air, they're on surfaces, and when I'm going to give myself some eyelashes here. I always forget some body parts I forget. You know, I always forget the ears. I definitely have to put those on, which I don't think I have ears on this one because my hair is sort of covering it. My eyes are definitely like a greenish brown, so I'm going to do that. But we're talking about how amazing our body is and how it can block germs from getting in, and our nose is great for that. And I would even say your eyelids could blink out in your eyelashes. Some of those germs might catch right on your eyelashes and particles, and you just blink them right away. So that's pretty cool too. Since this is a yellow piece of paper, I'm going to kind of use white because I can kind of pop the whiteness of the eyeball around there. And then I'm going to do like a light brown color in my eye. And then I'm going to go over it with a little bit of green. I have what they call hazel eyes, which is sort of a mixture of light green and brown. Sometimes in the light, my eyes appear greenish, more greenish, and sometimes more brown. And I'm even going to give myself my pupils a little darker after I've come in. Got it. Yeah, looks kind of weird without your nose and mouth. I'm glad we have those. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some coloring to my hair. I've got a mixture of sort of brown and so I'm going to go ahead and give myself some brown and some blonde. And I'm just going to go around with the brown first. If you have long hair or short hair, you know, on some of our other activities, the one we did for our Christmas art, we did some yarn. For this one, we're just using our crayon. And we're just going around the head area. And my hair kind of hits my shoulder, so I'm doing it that way, and I sort of have a bang split here. So I'm gonna come around with a little darker color. And I always say with art, you know, it's your art, you do how you enjoy doing it, but I always think whatever you do, you should do it really well. Take your time. If you're coloring in one direction, we've said this before, color in all directions. No, I didn't get my ears on. I know you're saying that out there. But we're just going to say that my ears are covered up with my hair, which they kind of are. So that kind of works. I like that. Saving myself some extra work. Now I'm going to come back around with the yellow, and I'm just going to kind of blend that yellow, blend that brown together. And you can go a little hard on this yellow because it's so light that it's going to be good if you just, I'm going to put it on a hard surface here. That's fun. And I always, you know, sometimes your art is not going to be perfect, but it's your art. You do your very best. Have fun. It is fun to do artwork. Now, the last thing I'm going to do before I do the next step number 2 in this little project, I'm going to go ahead and color my shirt. And on this project, on this one that I did on this sample, I just did like a striped shirt, and I noticed that I had a collar. So I'm going to sort of give myself a little collar. So that would be skin color too right there. And then you could do whatever design you want on your, if you want it to be all one color, or if you want to do some little flowers or stripes or whatever you want to do, that's what you would do next. And then you would fill that in with color and add the color in. And I'm not going to take the time to do that because I've got this model. You can see that you're just making a shirt down there. Let's get to this fun part where it's your hand. That's the second piece of paper. So for this part of it, part 2, and we'll be putting part 1 and part 2 together. You're going to be tracing your hand. So you're going to want a steady hand for this. So you're going to want to lay your hand down flat on your paper and then take your other hand and trace around it. So that's what I'm going to do right quick. And it's kind of funny the way that it comes out. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just going around the tracks. I can't really hold it up and show you because then I can't trace properly. And I'm trying to get around my rings and all that. But you want to keep your hand really still when you're tracing. So there's my hand print. And then the details on your hand, because you're going to be doing this, so you're going to want to do little fingernails. So you're going to come up here in this surface right here, and then you're just going to make little fingernails. Just kind of trace through, and then your thumbnail. Again, we're kind of doing this in a realistic way. And then if you've ever noticed your hands, they have lots of little wrinkles and lots of little lines. So I'm going to come up at the top and do just some little lines. So I'm going to come up to the top right here and just kind of do a couple little lines. You can make them kind of squiggly. They are wrinkly. And with your thumb, you're going to kind of do it right underneath there because it's kind of sideways. So there's little wrinkles. And then by your knuckles, you have lots of little formations up and down. So we're going to do some of those where our knuckles are. So I'm going to kind of go up and down and then just fill in with a little bit of wrinkles. I'll try to tilt this so you can see those little wrinkles. We're making this realistic because that's the part that's really going to be showing. So sort of do that in a wrinkly way too. So there's our realistic. Now, when you're coloring in your hand, if you notice that you're underneath your nails, it's pinkish because there's blood flow in there. So I always like to take my pink and then my peach. So I'm going to go over my fingernails real light with pink. You've got life in your fingernails underneath them. And then take your peachy color and kind of go over top. Now I like this manila paper because it is already skin colored. If you are a light skinned person and you've already got the right color, and if you have darker skin, it's easier to it's easy to shade. If you're starting with white paper, you have to do a lot of shading. So I'm going to go over my creases with my peach, just kind of darken those up a little bit. You've even got little hairs on your skin, on your fingers and skin if you looked very close. So we're there, and I don't think I need to add anything to that now. On this one, I did kind of peachify it up. So you are, if you want to go back over this manila paper, it is kind of yellowy. So if you want to go back over it with a peachy color, just kind of peach it up. That looks good too. I'm going to do that on my face, just kind of peachify it up. But like I said, if you have darker skin, it's easy with this manila paper. It's just easier to shade it. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. Let me go up under my eyebrows. A little peach there. Yeah, that looks great. Now, when you're cutting out your hand, you have to do this in a really careful way. You don't want to hack. So when you're cutting, you want to be gentle. Go around anytime you're going around a curved line, you're in control. Your scissors are leading, but you are leading your scissors in that you're turning that paper in a way that is gentle. You have to go about this in a way that's careful, because you're going in little curved spaces. But hey, if you make a mistake, the cool thing is get some more paper and start over. Don't panic. And if you have a family member that can help you trace your hand, that's good too, because it's always good if two people. Sometimes I've had students that I've traced for them, because it's just a task to lay it down flat, trace at the same time. It can be difficult. Voila, we've got it. Now the next part is really simple. You are reminding yourself to cover your sneeze. So you're taking a tissue. This is where that tissue comes in. And you're going to get your white glue. Whoa! Not like that. Gonna get some white glue on there. See, art can be fun and it can be unexpected and crazy. Get some white glue. You want a lot, and then you just kind of want to spread that tissue in a way that's kind of spread around. Looks like you're covering that cough and that sneeze, right? And then you're going to take your handprint and you're going to put some glue on that. And I would even put a little bit on that tissue, because this is going to go on top. So I've got the glue, double, triple glue, and you're going to want to put that on top. You're covering that sneeze, and you are keeping everybody healthy in that new year. And there you go. Very simple project that you can have fun with germs, even though it's not a fun topic. You can have a little fun. And as you're doing this project, think about all of the information you learned. The one final thing I would always encourage my students to do in class was to write down on a piece of paper their favorite fact about germs. So we would talk about all of the things that we've learned about germs in our sessions. We would have several days we were talking about how germs make us sick, how they travel, and then we talk about ways that you can keep well, washing our hands, covering our sneezes, eating healthy foods. We would review all the facts, and then they would pick one fact to write on a piece of paper. What's your favorite fact? If you were doing this project at school, what would you say was the number one fact you've learned about germs that was your favorite piece of information? I think mine would have to be probably the fact that 1,000 germs can fit on the tip of a pencil. I think that's amazing. That lets me know that germs are so tiny and they're invisible. And I think my number two fact is that germs are everywhere on every surface. But I definitely love this third fact, that our bodies are amazing germ fighting machines. I'm so glad. Well, kids, we've learned a lot in the last couple sessions about germs. I hope that these videos have been helpful. And let's close it out with a fun activity, an art project, to remind us of simple things we can do to keep ourselves healthy and to review all things germy in a fun way. Now, as you're working through this information, don't forget to wash your hands and to stay well in the new year. All right, until our next time together, as always, keep those hands clean, keep those sneezes covered, and have a good one.